But I think that's it for the mesh. I think we can talk a little bit about the shader and the material here. I'm sure everyone's interested in the glass material, and the glass material itself is something that I'm sure everybody has seen on YouTube recently, kind of trending around. But it's basically this kind of setup where you use Blender's refraction the refraction shaders here, and you basically stack 3 different shaders that spread across the RGB spectrum. So this kind of creates that chromatic aberration effect that you see on the edges of the glass, where you're seeing kind of red, blue, green colors kind of splitting apart with the light. This kind of creates that effect. This basically, what we do here is we stack 3 of them and we mix them all together, and we mix them based off of the transmission depth of the light in the scene. So as the light is traveling through, we're saying only basically, I think, like the edges and stuff, are we displaying the refraction. And then when we're not displaying the refraction in those like very specific chromatic areas, we're just using a regular glass shader here to kind of create the kind of clarity, clear effect that we're looking for. And then that glass is also stacked with an albedo map that has the kind of text that you're seeing displayed here. And then we also have, it's transparent, so we have to make sure that we're using the alpha channel in the mix of the shader to kind of like pull through only the colors of the albedos here. And then we also have a separate displacement map, because some text on the memory card is screen printed, and then some text is actually a relief inside of the glass or the plastic itself. So we made sure to make 2 separate UVs there, or I did. And yeah, there's not that much to it. Just basically a glass shader stacked with like a regular shader to do the screen printing kind of like material on top, and the nice refractionness to kind of create that really nice like luxe, high quality look. And then the scene itself. I honestly just threw this together at like 11 o'clock at night. It was funny when I first posted the video. There was one comment where someone was like, "Why isn't it rotating at the center axis?" And I was like, oh man, I was in such a rush to make the empty that I didn't center it. So actually when you see it rotate in the scene, it's actually rotating behind the card because the pivot point is actually set to this point. Yeah, threw this together really late at night. But this scene is basically put together using this kind of like backdrop that you can see here. This is a standard backdrop that I bring into like all my stuff that I created like a while ago. It's just part of my asset library. It's just a plane that's like curved, whatever. The material on it, I think, is metallic or something. It's just the default material, nothing to it. I didn't even touch it, just black. And then the magic happens with the HDR in the environment. So we're using a Polyhaven Studio one that you may have seen before. It's basically just a nice white studio setup. I can show it to you, I think, here. So you can see that it's just a very standard like HDR white setup. I don't want any influence of any color in the scene. I just want it to be like lighting the scene as realistic or naturally as possible. And then to kind of like add a little extra luxe to the scene, I created an area light here, and then I added some shading to it to basically create a kind of quote-unquote gobo effect, or basically just taking the light and almost acting as if there was something in front of it to create shadows or like kind of like just abstraction in the light. So you're not getting a clean, full square of light. You're getting this thing that looks like it shined through a tree or like some random objects in like your house or somewhere realistic. This is a really basic setup where it comes like this, and they give you this when you like set up the nodes. And then I just created a Voronoi, and I created a couple of noise textures to map into the UV part of it to kind of distort the Voronoi a little bit. And then the key to this is just making sure that you come in to the spread and you bring the spread down to a really low percentage so it's a really tight light. And then you also want to bring your color ramp in, and you want to make this tight as well. and that'll create as the heaviest amount of abstraction as possible with the texturing here. So that's basically it for this. Just a really good mesh. It's kind of good, not that good. If you look really closely, the topology is kind of bad and the light doesn't reflect in the right ways, whatever. But just decent model inside of the model, and a good glass shader and some good environment, and really simple animation, just literally just a turntable set on the empty object that contains everything. Really simple stuff, nothing too crazy. Probably like a day's worth of work here. But yeah, make sure to follow, because this was probably the first iteration of memory card that I created, and then now I'm kind of working on this series where I'm creating just the colored versions and the kind of like nice plasticky ones that you maybe remember seeing, the red, the blues, and stuff like that. And I'm also working on putting this inside of its original packaging. And also just making the model more accurate and adding things like a little divot for the sticker on the front, or the lining that's actually missing on the inside here. So keep an eye out for that. I do have a video set up for that soon. But yeah, I'm glad everybody liked this so much. I'm sorry to anybody who thought it was real. It is not. As you can see, it's all fake. It's all 3D. You can probably 3D print this. I don't know, but yeah. But yeah, make sure to follow if you're interested in seeing more breakdowns of my work and just seeing more process in 3D tips, tricks, things like that. And yeah, stay curious.